This is a SIG AXG Scorpion with the Delta Point Pro on it. Inside or outside the waistband. After that, we ask them if you are right or left-handed. So from here, we pick out what size blank we need. Typically just lining everything up, seeing what the clearance looks like. It's easier to go with a larger blank because we can always trim some material off. It's harder to add it on later. Put our gun in our vise over here. Cinch it down. We start blocking off. More so just making a channel for it to move freely when the firearm's sliding in and out, because these won't be present, and just whenever that gun's moving in and out of the holster, nothing's shaving or dragging, causing more retention than prescribed. The other main point that we block off is going to be the ejection port. Typically the ejection port is a little bit too sharp at corners, so it grabs on a little bit too much. 90% of our retention itself is going to be taken off of the trigger guard on a non-light bearing gun. The light bearings, it's almost entirely off the light itself. Mainly, we do want to tape over these accessory rails on the bottom a little bit, because especially being a metal frame pistol, metal on plastic, it's going to act like a cheese grater on it, so you'll get some shaving off. And this is going to prevent the Kydex from sinking too far into that 1913 rail. So on this side of our bench over here, we have an insulated box with essentially just a heat gun up top. Turn that guy on, toss it in there for about 5-6 minutes, flipping it every so often. And that's going to make it nice and pliable. Once it does get to temperature, we're sliding everything in here. And we're going to press it, and as that Kydex cools, it's going to mold to the gun.
Have you ever gotten injured?
Not seriously, I've been scorched a couple times, but calcium build up quick. But see, we're already starting to get pliable with it. Only about a minute in. But
you keep going for 5 to 6 minutes, is that what you said?
Thereabout.
Now, how do you know when that piece of Kydex is ready?
So it gets about as malleable as a sheet of neoprene almost.
Okay.
This is close.
Yeah.
But the main thing is that it's heated up evenly. So
And that's why you flip it?
Sitting there flipping it, rotating it through this entire process.
So we've used the words Kydex a couple of times. That's not actually the brand name Kydex. What is it?
So all this stuff is a thermoform plastic, which is what Kydex is. Kydex is the Kleenex of thermoform plastic.
Okay.
So from here, I'm going to orient the blank inside the box, because there is a front and a back side. The back side will have these 2 holes. So once we have it oriented and it's heated up properly, we're going to take it out, slide the firearm in, get our positioning. If there's any cant that we want to set prior, this is the time.
What do you mean cant?
It's the angle at which it's going to be sitting, so it would be angled more forward or back.
And that's just personal preference, isn't it?
We get about 5 or 6 tries with these blanks themselves. So if we press it and it's not quite the cant that the customer wants, we can always reheat the blank and try it again. Under this press, for this style holster, we press it for about 45 seconds. In about 10 seconds, I'm going to pop it open and start doing body curvature, which is mainly just making sure it's not just a flat billboard on your hip. It's going to make the loops a little bit more comfortable as it's actually being formed. So from here, it's cool enough to where it's going to retain the gun shape, but it's still pliable enough where I can bend these sides out. And cool enough to where I'm not burning my fingers. And this has us about 90% done. So from here, take the gun out of the holster itself and take all of our blockings off, all of our tape. Just toss all that to the side. Now from here, to actually test fit to see how the retention feels, we do need to put the loops on it, because the loops will add ever so slightly a little bit more retention.
And how do you know that that retention is right? How do you know it's enough?
The typical smell test is just a shake test. So you hold
Okay.
it upside down, shake it a little bit, it's not falling out. It is shifting a little bit, so we might add a little bit more retention.
And when you say add retention, what does that mean? How do you do that?
So I will take the top end of our heat gun off and then heat up certain spots, mainly just around the trigger guard, and get it hot enough to where I can mold it back in, because again, most of our retention is going to be off the trigger guard with no light on the actual firearm. Before they leave, we will get the retention to their license. So you typically grab on these top rivets here and hold the other end of the holster up against your torso and pull it in and out. And that click is what you're hunting for. That's going to keep it from falling out when you're jogging, skipping, jumping, whatever. Now at this point, if they did like the retention and everything's kosher there, we're just going to do some more aesthetic work to it. But that's essentially finished product. That positive click is what you're hunting for.
All done.